Thank you for joining us on this Friday, September 4th. Joining you from the Beasley Media Complex in Boone, this is the Appalachian Weekly News. I'm Hadasa Rivera.
And I'm Grace Smith.
We're going to begin our show this week with an update on the COVID-19 pandemic in the high country. As of September 3rd, there are 48 active cases in students and 81 active cases in Watauga County. The total number of coronavirus cases have increased at schools across the state. UNC Chapel Hill has more than 1,100 total cases. East Carolina has the second largest amount with 971, and NC State has 871.
Speaking of COVID-19, another cluster has been confirmed by App Healthcare. On September 1st, it was announced that a second cluster on App State's campus has been identified, with 10 members on the wrestling team being testing positive for COVID-19. 8 team members are currently in isolation, and 2 members are past the isolation stage. As of now, the wrestling team is not practicing. There will be pop-up testing on September 5th in the River Street parking deck from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Today, North Carolina is moving into Governor Roy Cooper's next phase of the coronavirus pandemic recovery effort. Cooper has previously extended Phase 2 3 times in the last 3 months. Cooper says that while the state is not ready for Phase 3, some businesses and social activities can be resumed at reduced capacity. Mass gatherings will be raised between 10 to 25 people indoors and up to 50 people outdoors. Children older than 5 must wear a mask. Indoor exercise facilities such as gyms, bowling alleys, and skating rinks can begin to operate at reduced capacity. Bars, nightclubs, movie theaters, and indoor entertainment facilities will remain closed. Phase 2.5 goes into effect today at 5 o'clock in the evening.
One of our top stories today is an update on the Black Lives Matter movement in Boone. Hadasa, did you hear that there was a protest on campus this week?
I sure did, Grace. We've actually had several protests against racial injustice on campus now.
Our correspondent Xanayra Marin-Lopez has special coverage of the Black Lives Matter movement on campus.
Student and alumni group Black at App State created a petition and list of demands early July in regards to the oppression and discrimination Black students and people of color have faced on campus. Although the group has met with the chancellor and other administration, many of their demands have still not been met. The group on Monday led a march against injustice they call Wake the Chancellor, starting on Sanford Mall.
I said, it is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
After about 2 hours on Sanford of speakers, testimonies, and song, over 250 protesters marched down River Street to B.B. Daugherty Administration Building in hopes of getting their message closer to Chancellor Sherry Everts.
Support that I don't get at some places really hurts, okay? I have been pushing, I have been trying, and like she was saying, I've become numb. I'm tired of feeling numb. I'm tired of my white friends saying, oh no, all lives matter. Yes, they do, but what are we focusing on right now? That's a slap in my face.
Black at App State as a collective was frustrated this past summer when finally meeting with administration after their initial release of demands. Via Zoom, group members say they were muted, the chat feature was turned off for comments, and students say the chancellor was on screen playing with her dog, not paying attention. The day of the protest, the group was seeking yet another response from Everts, after not hearing from her since July. In her response, Everts must say that she and administration will work together and implement the group's demands exactly. This needed to come in the form of an email, either to the collective or the student body. I'm here with Cameron Hunter, SGA Vice President. Cameron, how is the frustration going back and forth with the Chancellor, led Black at App State, to where they are today and to this protest?
So when it comes to frustration with the Chancellor and Black at App State, I just feel as if, the Chancellor's views on, what Black at App State are asking for do not match with what the organization wants. I feel as if, Chancellor Everts most definitely needs to be, more vocal with the organization for sure. Give them the opportunity to speak because, there is so much injustice going on around this world and specifically within this campus. And, you're not having a chancellor that's going to vouch, take care of, the diversity and recruitment she wants to be here. I mean, I just don't understand, what's the purpose of, us as, African Americans, being on this campus.
It was here in B.B. Daugherty that App State Police told Black at App State organizers everyone had till 5 o'clock to leave the building, risking a Level 2 trespassing Class 2 misdemeanor. At 4:45, App State Police Captain and Patrol Commander Johnny Brown formally asked people to leave, not only due to trespassing, but also for violating Governor Roy Cooper's executive order banning large crowds.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Many left the building in fear of these charges, while one group of students chose to stay after 5. SJ Vice President Cameron Hunter, BSA President Kinavi Bachara, 5 to 10 other students, and even some football players were still in BB Daughtery. Police entered, giving out citations and arrests, which were rescinded by 6 o'clock that evening. In response to the protest, University Communications released a statement Thursday acknowledging Black Lives Matter. The Chancellor also expressed the university's commitment to continue moving forward with the work identified by the Black at App State Collective. Even after some form of agreement, more work and initiatives still needs to happen at App State towards instances of tolerating racism, equity, equal opportunity, and more.
All the stuff that's been going on, the chalk and students getting spit at, stuff being spray painted in the expression tunnels, you know, professors saying the N-word in the classroom, the microaggressions, people touching your hair, asking you, you know, what are you, and what kind of question is that? I'm Black. People asking you all these different types of crazy things, administrators saying, oh, you speak well. You're so articulate.
Don't forget you're beautiful for a Black girl.
You're beautiful for a Black girl. You're cute for a Black girl. I've heard it all.
For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Xanayra Marin-Lopez.
Watauga County Republicans gathered last Sunday to talk about how they can win the District 93 seat in the House of Representatives. Many of the candidates had the same issue on the mind: voter turnout. Ray Pickett is the Republican candidate for District 93 seat. He says Republicans lost the seat to Ray Russell in 2018 because people didn't vote. Another hot-button issue candidates discussed was absentee voting. Virginia Fox, the District 5 Congresswoman, says Democrats can't win at the ballots, but they can win by absentee votes. As of August 31st, North Carolina voters have requested over 530,000 ballots. There was a turnout among conservative App State students as well, who all felt good seeing people their own age at the event.
With elections coming up, polling sites all across the country are taking precautions to keep voters and election officials safe. Our town of Boone is no exception. Matt Snyder is the Watauga County Director of Elections. Snyder says that voting sites will hand out individual masks, gloves, and pens to voters. Quote, a lot of thinking has gone into this year in the election of how to protect our voters and how to protect our election officials. We've got a really good game plan to do the best we can to mitigate the chances of spread, end quote. For the population at a higher risk, absentee ballots will also be available. The last day to request an absentee ballot is October 27th. Another option this year is curbside voting. However, according to the North Carolina State Board of Elections, before a ballot is issued, that voter must swear an oath affirming their qualification to use curbside voting. These qualifications include age, physical disability, or physical barriers preventing their entrance to a voting site. One-stop early voting will take place October 15th through the 31st. Polls will be open from 6:30 in the morning to 7:30 in the evening on Election Day.
The North Carolina Board of Elections voted to keep the Blue Ridge Ballroom as an on-campus voting site. The vote was made after the Watauga County Board of Elections could not unanimously decide between moving the voting site to the Holmes Convocation Center or keeping it at the Blue Ridge Ballroom. App State administrators said the only place voting could take place was the Convocation Center because 9 classes take place in the ballroom. Watauga County Board of Elections fought to keep the ballroom because it is one of the most heavily trafficked voting sites in Watauga County. Some argued that the Convocation Center would be a better site because it would be easier to maintain 6 feet of social distance in the larger space. Ultimately, the ballroom beat out the Convocation Center in a 3-2 party line vote. River Collins is the president of App State Republicans. Collins says they are glad the state board decided to keep the voting site on campus. Quote, a voting site on campus makes it easier for students to ultimately influence democracy and the future of this county. To say I am thrilled does not do it enough. It is a great victory for democracy and for students, end quote.
The Turchin Center's Grand Staircase provided a blank canvas for two Baltimore artists. Jesse Unterhalter and Katie Troon transformed 36 steps of bleak gray concrete into an explosion of color and design. The director of marketing for the Turchin Center, Lynn Reese-Jones, says the staircase represented an opportunity to display beautiful artwork.
So we wanted to look at what we could do on the outside of the building that expressed the presence of art inside the building. So we're an art center. We have 7 galleries filled with art. That's a given, but we wanted to make sure that the abundance of art was also expressed on the outside of the building, so that we had kind of this presence as an art center.
Next time you get a chance, head on over to the Turchin Center and look at the masterpiece these two artists created for yourself.
App State offers students many opportunities to explore the professional world. But how is COVID-19 affecting these programs?
Our correspondent Wade Wilson has the story on how Second Story Media is navigating the pandemic.
Appalachian State's Communication Department offers students with several professional experience opportunities such as Second Story Media, App State's advertising agency. Despite safety precautions, Second Story hasn't allowed COVID-19 to slow down their creative process.
Second Story Media is technically a class, but it's designed to run the same way an advertising agency would run. Izzy is the president of Second Story, and she explains what the agency does within the community.
We work with clients in the area, specifically nonprofits majority, to do advertising for them, get them social media posts, whole campaigns, whatever they need. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Even though they're fully online, Second Story is still finding creative inspiration amidst a pandemic.
I think a lot of agencies, what you're seeing is they just moved right online. The nice thing about advertising is that you're kind of already on top of whatever is going on in the world. The creative mindset really allows you to go wherever. You can have ideas in your bed or in an office.
Second Story Media strives to provide advertising and PR students with professional experience. Lainey Unger explains that the agency is currently recruiting participants.
We're always looking for participants, if not for late additions this year, but for interest in following semesters. Participation from the community and clients is always ongoing as well.
For students who are looking to make a name for themselves in the advertising industry, the application for Second Story goes out shortly before class registration. For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Wade Wilson.
You know, Hadasa, quarantine brought out creativity in a lot of App State students.
That's right, Grace. Quarantine really did give us a lot of free time.
Personally, I started painting, but this pair of twins created something pretty unique. Freshman twins Alex and Hayden Morrow took their summertime quarantine and turned it into a podcast called The Twin Talks. The girls sit down and talk about their lives as twins and college students. They were inspired by an Instagram ad.
It's kind of a funny story. Just one day I was on Instagram and I saw someone make a podcast, and it was sponsored by this app called Anchor, and so I just downloaded it and I started talking into a microphone and I just gave it a name, and that's pretty much it.
It's kind of a one-day thing. She was downstairs and she was like, "Hayden, come here." I was like, "What?" "We're making a podcast." I said, "Okay."
Anchor is an app that allows users to record, edit, and distribute their podcasts. Alex and Hayden have a total of 219 plays on their podcast with 36 regular listeners. Their first episode, The Twinterview, aired July 24th, where sisters interviewed each other. Alex Morrow says their content is very impromptu. They say this format gives them freedom to express themselves comedically. Though it is a hobby they both enjoy, creating this podcast has not been all fun and games. The twins say that adjusting to their college and editing their podcast can be hard. Alex Morrow says sometimes it's a challenge to come up with ideas. Hayden Morrow says recording Twin Talks is hard if the sisters are not in the right frame of mind. Although the Twin Talks is still a new project, the twins say they are happy people are listening, and they hope to grow their platform so they can advocate for important issues happening around the world.
Now let's check in with Jayson James for an update on App State athletics.
Jason, what's going on with football this week?
There's a lot going on with football and sports in general, Hadasa and Grace. This past Friday, the football team decided not to practice and instead chose to protest racial injustice here at App State. The demonstration began at the football field before the team progressed through downtown Boone and campus. A couple of other teams and coaches joined them for the walk, including Athletic Director Doug Gillen. Elijah Diarra-Suba, a defensive lineman for the Mountaineers, said he has experienced racial injustice.
And the only reason I'm here today, I come from having guns drawn on me. I come from the police pulling guns on me. I come from all that, man. I come from that. But I don't have hate towards nobody. Because my mama always told me one day it's going to get better if you stand for what you believe in. And don't never let nobody change that about you.
Earlier this year, 4 App State football players were drafted in this year's National Football League draft. Our correspondent Abigail Watkins has the story on how these student athletes have gone pro in their journey to get to the NFL.
For many App State football players, Kid Brewer Stadium is where they spend their final days as an athlete. But for a select few, this is only the beginning for what they hope to be a long and successful career as a professional athlete in the NFL.
Darrington Evans made history by being the highest drafted running back to come from App State in the Sun Belt Conference. The Tennessee Titans choosing Evans as their 93rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft also made him the second highest drafted running back to come from a North Carolina school in the last decade. Also, former App State linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither was selected 107th in the 4th round of the 2020 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. This marks the first time that 2 App State football players were selected this early in a draft. Former App State linebacker Jordan Fair signed a free agent contract with the Minnesota Vikings. Fair said despite being an underrated recruit during his high school football career, focus, determination, and hard work are what got him where he is today.
To be in the NFL, it's really a dream come true. It's something that you look forward. When you're a little kid, you look up to those kind of players, and you want to set that goal, a dream of playing in the NFL one day. And very few people get that opportunity. So to be able to have made it is a great feeling. All that hard work and everything paying off over the years. So I'm very blessed and very fortunate to be here and enjoying every moment.
Former App State safety Josh Thomas also signed as a free agent. He will kick off his professional career with the Buffalo Bills. Thomas says that while the game is still football, the knowledge of the game is at a really high level.
They're definitely, the players are a lot bigger, but also they're just a lot faster and they play at a faster speed. So that's probably the one thing I say you have to get used to the most is just being able to play that fast every play. I just want to say thanks to App Nation for supporting me and helping me get to this point.
While App State students are going to miss cheering on these football players every game day, we wish them the best in their future endeavors. With the possibility of more NFL prospects in our lineup, we can't wait to see which Mountaineers take it to the next level. With the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Abigail Watkins.
The women's basketball team released a statement saying that they will not practice until the chancellor comments on racial injustice here at App State. Quote, "The App State women's basketball team will not practice until the black community at App is acknowledged by the chancellor. We have cried for help for far too long. Enough is enough," unquote. We will keep you updated on this story as it progresses. Due to COVID-19, many players are opting out of fall sports. Corey Sutton is the wide receiver for the Mountaineers football team who has chose to opt out of playing this fall. Last year, he was named the Sun Belt's most dangerous deep threat and the Sun Belt's number 9 overall NFL prospect. Sutton released a statement Tuesday afternoon saying, quote, "After thinking and battling thoughts about this decision, I feel that it is of my best interest to opt out of the 2020 season. I look forward to taking my game to another level this offseason and return to the field in 2021. Unquote. Sutton is currently tied for 5th place in App State history for touchdown catches with 17. Last year, he made the 2nd team All-Sun Belt. Many teams have had their seasons cut due to the financial burden COVID-19 has had on many universities. Both the men's tennis team and the men's soccer team have been cut this season. Athletic Director Doug Gillen stated that, quote, "Our mission is to guide and support our student athletes in their quest for excellence, academically, athletically, and socially. We appreciate everyone who has supported these Mountaineer programs over the years, including current and former coaches, current and former student athletes, their families, donors, and fans. Your legacy is important to us," unquote. Scholarships will be honored for students who wish to return to App State next year. The volleyball team is in preparation to begin their season. Their first match of the season will be in Statesboro against Georgia Southern on September 25th. They will be in Statesboro for a 3-game weekend and will kick off their season at 11 in the morning and will follow that match with another one at 6 in the evening, both against Georgia Southern. They will have their first home opener on October 9th as they welcome South Alabama to the Holmes Convocation Center to kick off an 8-match homestand. Best of luck to the volleyball team as their season begins here very shortly. That's all this week for sports. Grace, Hadasa, very busy week with sports. Can't wait to see what next week holds. Back to you, ladies.
Thank you very much, Jason. We'll make sure to check out that volleyball game.
And now it's time for your High Country High Note. A freshman hopes to join the ranks of famous App State alumni who have made it big in the music industry. Harrison Smith Martin, also known as Yaru, has more than 8,000 listeners on Spotify. Smith Martin says he is aware of how hard it is to find a musical career, but that won't slow him down. Smith Martin uses a group of friends to help him grow his brand. They help with editing, photography, and videography. Smith Martin wants his audience to listen to his music whenever and wherever. He says he hopes his music is something his listeners can fall back on whenever they need it.
That's our report this week. I'm Hadasa Rivera.
And I'm Grace Smith. For all of us at the Appalachian Weekly News, thank you for watching.
Remember to wear a mask, wash your hands, and wait 6 feet apart. We'll see you next time.